Good day, everyone, and welcome to Mommy Guide Inc. For those who are new to my channel, I am Mommy Lala. We would love to engage with you all, so please feel free to put your comments, questions, or suggestions on Mommy Guide Inc.'s Facebook page or Mommy Guide Inc.'s YouTube channel. Just don't forget to always be respectful and kind. All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about daily planning and how effective is it in terms of being more productive, especially in our community? We love having planners, right? So from bullet journaling or bujo to different kinds of happy planner, we have faith planners, we have health, work, homeschooling planners, and we even have digital planners sometimes. So do all of these things really work in terms of making us more productive? These things and more we will get to unpack with our guest for tonight, Colter Reed of ColterReed.com. Colter transforms brilliant ideas into beautiful software. He sees it as a way to help bring out the best in people by giving them tools to do things they otherwise couldn't do. He also blogs about personal growth and productivity, and in this episode, he will try to unpack effective planning techniques and tips that indeed can lead to better growth. And so, without further ado, let's all welcome first time on Mommy Guide Inc. Colter Reed. Hi,
Hi.
Colter.
Hi, Lala. Thanks for having me on.
Hello. Good morning to you, and thanks for coming in. It's super early for Colter right now, guys. It's like
Yes,
7
you have my
a.m.
morning hair. Yeah. So,
It's 7 a.m. for him. So again, Colter, thanks for joining us today. All right. So let's
you're
just
welcome.
look at some of the people in the chat. Good evening, Miss Marie and Colter from Superfloop. She's our moderator. And we are live. Yes, tech troublemaker Roy. Yes, today we didn't have any tech issue. Thank you, Lord. Good morning, Colter Reed. Good evening, Mommy Guide. Indeed, great to see you guys here. And of course, our dear guest also in the chat saying hi to everybody. Victor, hola. And from Mitch saying another awesome day. Good morning and good evening to everyone. Yes, indeed, Mitch. Glad to have you on the show, even if it's really early. Indeed, because this is the only time that Colter and I can really find that would fit time
Yeah,
for
this
the
is the best
yes.
overlap.
Exactly. We've tried all. So again, Colter, thank you so much. So our topic for today is about daily planning and how it affects productivity. All right. So is planning really important for productivity, Colter?
Yes. Thanks for coming, everybody. No, just a let me share a story about this. So I grew up in Southwest Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
It's a desert, middle of a desert, and not far away is the Flaming Gorge Reservoir, which used to be a beautiful gorge, and they filled it up most of the way with water. And when I was a kid growing up, my grandparents would come up every summer. They'd come up to visit us, and my grandfather had a 10 to 15 foot boat that he would bring
Wow.
up with him, and we would go out on the reservoir, and we'd go fishing. We usually catch stuff, nothing we could have for dinner. But my grandmother always made sure to have backup food planned, so that just in case the fish weren't biting. And the most popular place where we would go was kind of right across from a marina. And in the morning we would watch the sailboats leave the marina and go out on the reservoir, and in the evening, right before dinner, they'd come back in. And I used to think that was fascinating. In the morning, the wind is blowing this way, and all the sailboats go out, and then it didn't matter where they were on the reservoir. When it was time to come back in, the wind was blowing them the other way. I thought this was fascinating. Okay, that must be why they put the marina right there, because
Mm-hmm.
just you look at where the wind blows. And then one day I noticed that there was one sailboat going this way and another sailboat going this way. They passed each other. And my little 10-year-old mind was just blown. I'm like, how's the wind blowing in two different directions like that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at dinner that night, my grandfather, got out a pen and a napkin and did some sketches, and explained to me how it's the same wind blowing on every sailboat, But depending on how the sailor adjusts the sail in response,
Mm.
that is what determines what way the wind goes, more than where the wind's blowing. You can
Mm.
actually sail into the wind. It's not directly into the wind, but you can just kind of, a little to the left, a little to the right, a little to the left, and you can zigzag into the wind. It's called beating the wind. So
Wow.
even if the wind is against you, you can still use it and sail into it. It's fascinating. And so the same thing happens with our lives. We are being constantly blown around by just the demands of life. Life
Mm-hmm.
happens. No matter what our plans are, life happens. But when you plan, you are better prepared to respond to what happens. You know what's going on. You know what you need to brush aside. For example, we were supposed to have this live a couple of weeks ago, but a couple of days beforehand, we found out that we lost the twins that we were expecting, and
Oh,
that was a very disruptive event.
sorry to hear that. Yes.
It was tragic, but because I had a plan, I knew exactly who I needed to reach out to say, I'm sorry, but this happened. We need to change the plans, and so having the plan makes you better prepared to respond to things, and it also lets you know just what direction you need to be heading. You're not just going out onto the reservoir just to have fun wherever the wind takes
Mm-hmm.
you, but you have someplace you're trying to get to. And when you have that plan in place, then you know what you need to do to respond to the wind, to so the wind can take you where you want to go.
Wow. What an awesome answer to our, initial question. Again, sorry for your loss, Coulter, to
Thank
the
you,
whole
and
family.
thank you for being flexible.
All right. Thank you so much. When I was in MBA, that was one, sailing as in terms of being in a team was actually one of our case study. And I was really amazed at how, to actually sail, there's so many things that can be learned from the actual act of, sailing, right? So
Mhm.
as Coulter said, right, preparation, key, teamwork as well, if you are like in a team.
And intention.
Intention, yes, intentionality, right? So
Yeah.
knowing all of these things, Coulter, so what can you suggest, or what do you think is the best way now to actually plan? All right, so now we know that we need to be intentional, you need to be able to
Yep.
prepare. Now how do you go about doing that preparation so that it will work for you?
So yeah, yeah, and work for you. That's kind of an important caveat here. What I have found works for me
Mm-hmm.
is I like planning from the top down. Taking stepping back and taking the long term picture of, okay, what do I want to accomplish in you know 20 years, in 10 years, in 5 years? Where do I want to be this time next year? And start off with what's important to me, and then distill that down into, okay, where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to accomplish, and so then what goals am I working on right now? Uh, what goals am I actively working on right now? I'm only going to work on two or three goals at a time. I may have 10 or 12 written down just so I'm thinking about them, but only two or three that I'm actually working on at any given time. And then from there, okay, what do I need to accomplish this week in order to move things forward? Now, what do I need to
Mm-hmm.
do today in order to move things forward? And the full focus system from Michael Hyatt is actually very much aligned with that. I used the Franklin Planner system for years,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
What's
until
that
the
again?
iPad
Sorry,
came out.
Coulter. Frankel.
I'm sorry,
Frankel planner.
Franklin.
Franklin. All right,
Yeah,
Franklin.
Franklin Covey. It was Franklin Quest when I started using it, but yeah, they defined what daily planning looked like back in
Mm-hmm.
the '80s for much of the world, and I used the Franklin Planner up until 2010 when the first iPad came out, and I got rid of paper entirely, went pure digital for a couple of years. Ended up not liking that. There are trade-offs. Paper and digital both have their strengths, and so I've settled on a hybrid approach where I'm doing a lot of the planning digitally. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, or beginning of the day, I have a paper planner that I use
Yay! Oh, we
to
love you
actually.
already, Coulter, because our community actually, we're a lot of crafters in my community, and we do love Although, of course, digital planner is easier because it's, very compact, can bring it along anytime. It's in your
Yep.
phone, right? But we still do love, doing paper planning, right?
Yeah.
So what you do, as you mentioned, Coulter, now you basically do a hybrid.
Mhm.
So some you do on paper, or some you do on digital, or you just transform what you have on paper onto your digital platform.
It's kind of different levels.
A different level.
OmniFocus on the computer is where I've got the master task list, from the
Mm-hmm.
Franklin terminology. That's where I've got the list of everything that I need to do, all the projects I'm working on, every task that I've identified is in OmniFocus. And then part of the weekly planning is I will identify, okay, what are the three things that I want to accomplish this week in order to move my goals forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the daily planning, I'll sit down with the planner and OmniFocus and figure out, okay, this is all, these are all the tasks I've identified that I could be working on. Now let me do a final selection, and these tasks are what I'm going to work on today. And I'm going to copy that into the paper planner. And the paper planner is what I execute from. And it's also, so that is like the final pass of what I'm going to be doing. That's what's in the paper planner. And then paper is also wonderfully flexible for capturing things. And so I don't have to make sure I'm getting in the right app. I have a dedicated space on the corner of my desk here where I have my planner open all the time. I can just grab the pen, jot something down, and then at the end of the day, when I'm doing my next planning session, I just capture anything out of that notes page that I need to be able to have later and turn it into what it is. Whether it's just a note for reference, another, more tasks, appointments that I have to keep, or contact information, just turning it into what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have to worry about that in the moment when I'm capturing, because that's one of the things that paper is really, really good for.
All right. So absolutely agree with you, right? So I do have that almost similar format. But for me, what again, okay, the caveat, as the Coulter said, what works for him, what works for me, okay, may not work for you, but may you find, hopefully, our desire is for you to find inspiration, so that you can find what works for you, right? So there are
Yeah.
many avenues of planning, but definitely planning is important to achieve productivity. All right. So let's just go back to the chat for a little bit, Coulter. Okay.
All right.
Everybody's still saying hi to everybody. All right, there you go. And we have Paul of Love Audio. Hi, Paul. How are
Hi,
you?
Paul.
And David. Hi, David. There you go. Good morning to you, Miss Mary. Mega love shout out. And Andy. Life happens, absolutely, indeed. And they're saying, I'm so sorry for your loss. All right.
Thank
And
you.
are some people hardwired to plan? Are some people hardwired to plan poorly? Are there? Have you met
I
such?
want to say hardwired, because
Mhm.
hardwired implies that
It's
you're
like
not
sometimes,
flexible.
I want to plan, but I don't know how. It doesn't work for me. I can't do
Oh,
it.
sure, but that's just a skill set at that point. You can learn new skills.
Mm-hmm.
Now, personality-wise, there are people who like who are just naturally more organized than others. Some are more just free spirits, and they just want to go with wherever the wind takes them, and that's fine. As long as you're getting things done, if you're accomplishing things, that's okay. That's your productivity style. That's fine. Don't feel like you have to
Mm-hmm.
make your round peg fit into somebody else's square hole. Find what works for you. That's why it's called personal productivity. It is very personal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What works for you? There are things in the full focus planner, the full focus system.
Mm-hmm.
It aligns with my style very closely, but there are things that I ignore and do differently,
Mm-hmm.
from what
Can
the.
we see a little bit of your paper planner, if you may, if
Sure,
you're
let me see
okay
if
with
I.
that? Is there something that
Yes.
we're not supposed to see, though? If it is, then it's
No,
okay.
I was planning on sharing with you, and so I made sure that the plan for this week and today is shareable.
All
So
right, great.
okay, so built into the full focus planner is
Mm-hmm.
this weekly preview
All
where
right.
you have that walks you through the steps of a weekly review process. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of the first thing that you do here is you just look at, okay, what are the big wins that you had on the week that just ended, and so you can celebrate those wins, which that's important. We don't celebrate enough as we go. We have to wait. We feel like we have to wait until something big happens, and then we can celebrate. No, celebrate constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at, okay, what are the big three that you had last week? Your big three tasks. How did I do on those? Just give yourself a score. Out of the big three I had last week, two of them, 100%. Finished it, nailed it, done. One of them, I said, 10%. Didn't get very far. And I did a little bit, but didn't finish it. So, all right, 10%. No worries. Then you reflect on, okay, what's working for you? What's not? What changes do you need to make? What are you going to keep doing? What are you going to start doing? If you're familiar with KISS,
Keep it simple.
it's that sort of keep, improve, start, stop.
Oh, okay.
That sort of a reflection. Yeah, not to keep it simple, stupid. Keep, improve, start, stop.
Okay, keep pardon again. Keep improving.
Yeah, what are you going to keep doing?
Mm-hmm.
No changes. This is working for you. What do you keep doing? What is working, but what could you do better? What are you going to improve?
All right.
What are you going to start doing that you're not doing now? And what are you going to stop doing? Because oftentimes we try something out, and it doesn't work.
Nice.
So stop doing it. It's not working.
All right. So that is how the focus planner.
The full focus
planner works. I remember having taken this. This is a full course I had when I was. So now when I was like, I think I was in 2000 something when I was taking my MBA, and we had to take this course, the Franklin Covey 7 Habits of effective planning and management. All right, so there, Colter showed us a preview of one of the pages.
Yeah.
So it's like that for a weekly. That's the weekly plan, right? Is there a daily plan that comes along?
There is, and so then where you finish up with the weekly plan is you look at what you want to accomplish for the week, and then you move into the daily plan, where I don't know if this is going to wash out or it's washing out a little bit, but the space where you've got, okay, what are your 3 big tasks for today? In the Franklin Covey, this would be like your A tasks for the day. No more than 3. Today I've only got 2. This live stream making you look good. That's one of my A tasks. One of my big 3 tasks for the day. And maybe it's just one. I didn't even write a second one down. And then you've got kind of the rest of your tasks. And here just the stuff that you plan on getting to it. If you do, great. If not, don't worry about it. Then what have I copied from my calendar on the computer that I need to know about? Like, these are the appointments where I've committed my time to somebody else. And then notes over here.
I'm there.
I made these.
I am part of your schedule for today.
You are. Your name is actually on here 3 places because I've got make Walla look good. One of my big tasks for the day. Drop it in the comments. How's she doing? She's doing great. Show some love for Lala.
All right, thank you.
I mean, you're over here in the time because I blocked out time for you, and then you're also over here on this sticky note that I made with my weekly big 3. Preparing for this was one of my big 3 for the week, and so you're also on this sticky note that then I can move from page to page, just so I'm constantly focused on the big things that I'm working on for the week.
So amazing. So you know what, Colter, I am seeing also several similarities of that. Again, full focus. Am I saying it correct?
Yes, full focus from Michael Hyatt.
Okay, full focus planner with Bujo, because it also has that part where you have the weekly, and then you have that, and then you transition to the daily. So you just pick up 3 of your more important tasks and then put it there. But then, as you said, maybe with bullet journaling, you build it up yourself, right? So you start
that's one of the great things about the bullet journal is that it is so flexible. Whatever any day needs, that's what you got.
Exactly. But some people, as you said, we were talking in the background, Colter and I were talking, like, some people are afraid of a blank page, right?
Yeah, me. I'm one of them.
Exactly. So some cannot actually do that from scratch. They need a little bit of prodding, so a little bit of a template, but it has to be a little bit flexible as well. So that's where, again, as Colter said, what works for you, but you need to try them out to know which
and don't be afraid to experiment. I'm constantly experimenting and tinkering with my system, seeing what works, what doesn't.
Our life situation changes. right?
Mhm.
Even family, work. So see
Yeah.
what works for you. But absolutely,
Mhm.
planning is necessary.
And that can change from day to day because even when I
Yeah.
was going pure digital,
Mm-hmm.
even when I was
Oh.
pure digital, the most intensive days, I would grab a 3x5 card and just write down like, okay, what am I doing today? There, again, just those lingering tendrils of paper
Mm-hmm.
sticking around in my life because and I think that was one of the illustrative things I finally realized like, hey, this is something that's not working about going pure digital. If the most intensive days, the toughest days that I have, I need paper to back me up. So that was why okay, let me shift back to doing a hybrid plan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There you go, hybrid. Okay.
Hybrid,
So, but I'll have a follow up question with that in a little bit. But first,
sure.
let's go back to the chat. All right. So, Andy, on the other hand, said the Franklin planner zapped my very soul. Sorry. Again, this is where, it's okay for some, but, for Andy, nope. All
Yeah.
right. Definitely. So, what worked for you, Andy? Okay. Andy, can you put it in the chat? So, what do you do in terms of planning? Okay. And can't go wrong with paper physical planner. All right. See, this works
See,
for
and this
super
is the thing.
few.
I think just about everybody has a hybrid system. To
Yes.
some degree. You might be 95% digital, but it's still 5% paper.
Or the opposite, right? Some
Yeah,
paper, but definitely you still have that.
yeah.
There you go. Ate Margie, thank you for sharing. And she's saying hi to everybody. And Marie is also saying hi to Ate Margie, listening here while working. Thank you so much, Ate Margie. All right. And Andy, when Colter talk about this, it's like watching him dance. Smooth. There you go, Andy. Exactly. Oh, Doc Dwayne. Hi, Dwayne. Hi, Doc. Thank you so much. We had Doc Dwayne last year talked about, diabetes, I think. Hi, Doc Dwayne. We miss you. We might need to, it's time for you to go back. All right. And Nyoy. Hello, Nyoy. You're both doing great. Oh, thank you. How do you,
Thank you,
okay.
Sammy.
A question from Marie. How do you
Okay.
stay committed to plan? I did try weekly planning, then because of stuff that I have to do, eventually I forget to stick to the plan or update my planner. So sometimes if
Uh,
it's new, right? January or start of something big, we're so
yeah.
excited to start planning, and then all of a sudden just things
Yeah,
life
we
starts
have
to
January
happen.
1st, we have so many great and ambitions for the year, and January
Exactly.
2nd, we set them aside. Um, so, the kind of the first thing I would ask you, Marie, is when you create the plan for the week,
Mm-hmm.
are those the things that you want to be doing, or are those things that somebody else has told you that you should be doing? Because those aren't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when they're not, you need to find a way to reconcile that. Um, if your boss is telling you that I need you to do these things, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well that's important to them. If you like your job, then what is important to your boss is important to you. Importance can be transitive like that. Um, but oftentimes, we get caught up focusing on the things that other people want us to do, the things that other people have told us should be important to us. And maybe you're not in the right job, or even if you are self-directed, you're not working on the right things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Another trap that we fall into a lot is this feeling that we have to go all in, um, and we burn out
Yeah.
because we start taking the fun out of it. Andy mentioned the Franklin planner, sucking his soul out of him,
Mm-hmm.
and I can understand that because it became so popular with corporations. For a long time there, and even still, being organized and planning a lot is a work thing. That's something that we do at work. That's not something that we do with life. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when we go home, we want to get away from that stuff. We want to get away from the structure and just be a free spirit. One of my roommates, we were talking about this, and yeah, he didn't like planning because he wanted to be able to be spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody dropped by, just to hang out? Hey, how you doing? This is back before we texted everything. We would just, we used to just stop by and say, hey, how you doing? You busy? Want to hang out? and he wanted the freedom so that he could be spontaneous. He could be spontaneous when people came by like that, and so he never planned. He just went with the flow all the time. And when you're completely reactionary like that, that's when you start losing track of the things that you want to be working on. When you've got a plan in place, you can still be spontaneous. You know where your margin is. You know what you need to put on hold in order to make room for the new opportunity that just came in. But you're still going to be able to get the things that you want to do done. Another thing I would ask you is, how much margin are you leaving for yourself? Because you should have enough margin still that you can respond to those things that come up without feeling like you're having to drop everything important on the floor.
So what I'm
So
hearing here,
pace
Coulter,
yourself.
is like there is a prior planning for the actual planning, something like that,
Yeah,
right? Meaning,
and you constantly plan.
yes, you need to
One of my
reconcile, right? That's what
Yeah,
Coulter said.
yeah.
Reconcile first.
One of my favorite quotes is from Dwight Eisenhower. When he was the supreme commander of the Allied forces in Europe during World War II. Somebody asked him once about, why did we go through this? We're just going to throw the plan out because we're going to get on the ground. The ground truth is going to be anything that we plan for, and so we're just going to have to throw the plan out anyway. And his answer was, the plan is nothing, but planning is everything. And that's because of the clarity that it gives you to know, what you're facing, what do you need to get done, what's important, what's not, what can you set aside.
Exactly. And it still really boils down to also personality wise, right?
Yeah,
There are
absolutely.
people who really who functions better with a very rigid kind of schedule,
Yeah.
and that makes them happy. Like my
Hmm.
son, I don't, I'm homeschooling him. I've been homeschooling him since, preschool. Now he's in sixth grade. He loves his schedule, but the thing that I want him to learn though is that schedules can be changed. So
Yeah.
he's like, when his schedule is changed, why? Why? He won't stop asking why. He really wants to stick so much to his schedule, right? So again,
Yeah.
different folks, different strokes. But okay, whatever reason, you need to find what actually really works for you, right? So
And
some,
yeah,
they want
and
the
be flexible.
freedom, yes, the freedom of, doing bullet journaling or other kinds of system.
Mhm.
Some, they could probably prefer the Stephen Covey kind. All right, some wants to be, in between. But again, you will never know unless you try, right? So,
Yeah.
and Coulter mentioning about, reconcile, right? What your actual needs or to do or tasks, okay, and those that are asked from you by others, right? Like
Hmm.
work, okay, other family members, all right, and try to find a, a, a halfway point so that the joy doesn't get sucked out of you, as also
Yeah.
Coulter mentioned a while
Yeah.
ago.
Celebrate as you go.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's really going to be, you'll end up being burned out, right? So this
Hmm.
is too much. This is too hard to keep
Yep.
up. I won't plan anymore.
Yeah.
Fine and
This is a
easy when
marathon,
you're
not a
young,
sprint.
Coulter, right? But when you reach my age, planning is so important. Otherwise, I will really forget. I can forget like in an instant. I have like a fish brain or memory. I
Oh,
really need to plan
yeah.
at this point, right?
And when you don't write it down,
Mm-hmm.
your brain is great for having ideas. It is not great for keeping ideas.
Mm-hmm.
When you have something you need to do, something you want to do, write it down. Let your brain think about something else. That's when we start having the thoughts just cycling through our heads
Mm-hmm.
incessantly. Is because our
Exactly.
brain, if we haven't written it down in any place, our brain knows that this is the only place where that idea exists. And I like this idea. I don't want to lose it. And so it will just keep repeating it like some weird productivity mantra because it doesn't want to lose it.
All
Write it
right.
down.
Okay, so let's read some more of the comments, Coulter. Some days are intense and paper works better. This is for Mitch. Okay, one of our crafty artists, crafters in the community. And David is saying of spooling around. I'm so bad at planning. I'm easily distracted. Yes, that too. Sometimes I can be like that as well. Okay,
Yeah.
can super relate to the sentiment of spooling around. Easily get distracted. Yes, that's my daughter. Okay, hi, Doc Dwayne. All right. And Marie saying that makes sense. Thank you, Colter. I plan weekly for craft projects that I need to finish. But somehow I never stick to the plan. That's leaving me with a lot of pending stuff to do. Yes.
And honestly, even if you stick to the plan, you might not get through it. You might think that okay, this project is going to take me a week. I spend 2 hours a day working on it. That's going to give me 14 hours. Maybe it's a 30-hour project, and you're not going to get through it in a week. Did you make progress? Okay, great. Did other stuff come up that you had to work on instead? Okay, that's fine. You were flexible. You responded to the situation as it developed. You didn't, don't blindly stick to a plan that you came up with a week ago just because a week ago you thought it was a good idea. When now you get to, it's a week later and the world's completely different. You need to be ready to throw out what your plan was and
All right.
respond.
So basically, what Coulter is saying is that yes, we do plan. We try to plan, and we try to execute the plan, but it doesn't. Life happens, as we say, right? So if it
Yeah.
doesn't get done, I think you mentioned a while back when you were showing your planner, this is 10%,
Yeah.
80%, more or less, right? So at least you know that you somehow made a dent in
Yeah.
that, right? Either accomplish
And I'm
absolutely.
not grading myself that I got 100% on this task. Well done, A plus
uh,
star. But this I only got 59% on this task. That's an F. That's just a status update. That's all that is. That's just
mhm,
me reflecting and saying, okay, this project, these are, at this level they're usually projects for the week. Then okay, this project is complete. It's done. I don't have to do anything more about it. This project is not done. I need to make sure that that there are a couple next actions defined for that one. It's just a status update. You're not grading yourself on your performance.
absolutely. Yes, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, you'll really
Yeah.
get frustrated because it will be very seldom that you will absolutely finish everything in that planner of yours, right?
Yeah, especially if
Absolutely.
it's full of things you don't want to do. No.
Yes. As I was mentioning to Coulter a while ago, sometimes I'm super busy. Now I'm so tired at the end of the day. But when you look at what I've done at the end of the day, these are the things that really needed to be done. But I was busy, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
does happen, right? And Andy's saying Franklin was the antithesis of fun and creativity to me, indeed. So Andy has a suggestion later on. Okay, what worked for him, right? We asked Andy. So Andy, what worked for you? And he answered it. Okay, in a little bit. Okay, Mitch is saying I stick to one or two non-negotiables per day. Right, right,
Mhm.
like what Coulter said, right? Top three. All right, and I stick and per day and to have room for non-controllables. That's a great advice, Mitch. Okay, that's Mitch sharing how she does her planning. And on the other side, on the flip side, Victor, which on the job, other than on the job, which I still don't do it much, I don't plan much. All right. So that's Victor. Okay. And Dwayne, sorry, Doc Dwayne, great discussion. I was trying to force myself to be totally digital. Thanks for the permission to be a hybrid. There you go, Doc
Absolutely.
Dwayne.
Find what
I
works for you,
know
Doc.
a lot of the younger people, Doc Dwayne, I feel you. They're all digital right now. But we still want our paper, our notebook, right? So
Mhm.
it works for us. So go for it, Doc Dwayne. I'm all for that. All right. I strongly suggest that people look at, okay, this is Andy's suggestion, and this is what works for him. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, a spiritual path to higher creativity. We'll definitely look this up, Andy. You know what? Andy, um, when he suggests something, really go for it, guys. Okay. The Artist, I'm writing it down, Andy, by Julia Cameron. All right, there you go.
Yep,
A spiritual
I wrote it
path
down
to
too. On the
higher.
notes side of the page. I'll capture it later.
All right, there you
But
go.
I've got
We
it.
both noted it down, Andy.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Hashtag. Okay. team never sticks to the plan. Sammy, that's my daughter. Don't
An
say never,
an
anak.
airplane charts its course from one city to the next.
Uh-huh.
That's the plan. But when it gets in the air, it spends almost all of its time off course. Just
All
like
right.
it constantly corrects
All right. So just the
and
goal
adjusts.
in mind. Goal.
But
Okay,
yeah,
how you get there?
yeah.
Fine. All right.
But yeah,
Very
you know where you're going. Constantly course correct.
exactly. So, Doc Dwayne saying hi to you, Sammy. Mitch, my planner and keeping it updated daily makes me feel progressing since my entries are focused on goals outside work, right? So sometimes
Nice.
goals outside work are more interesting and right, very fun to actually pursue than the one at work most of the time,
Yeah.
but not all the
Yep. They
time.
can be.
Exactly. I stick to one or two non-negotiables, so I still have time. Oh, okay. I think this was her message a while ago. All right. So we already mentioned about paper and pen and doing hybrid culture. Now, this is for our community. Our community love planners so much that if you ask us how many planners do we have, it's like from floor up to my head. Some can have as many paper planners like that. So, do you think having those kinds or separate planners for every aspect of one's life is
Hmm.
effective?
Well, sometimes it's necessary.
Uh-huh.
My planner only has everything that is outside of work. I don't have anything that is that is related to my day job in here, and that's just because of the data control requirements. That they have very strong feelings about where work related information is kept, and so I just
Mm-hmm.
keep my planner free of it. I just have large swaths of time blocked out where okay, from 9 to 5, I'm going to be in the office doing
Mm-hmm.
office stuff. So I know that much of my time is already spoken for the things that I want to do. And so I have to keep two completely separate systems, one for work and one for everything else. And but even just when you're getting into like, okay, I've got my crafting journal with all my crafting projects, the things that I'm working on, that's fine. Yeah, if you have different modes that you work in, different roles that you fulfill, it's entirely appropriate to have kind of more separate, focused planners
Mm-hmm.
for each one of those roles. The thing you have to be aware of and careful about there is making sure that this planner understands that it's only responsible for 20% of my time. It cannot take over my entire week because there are other planners that it has to coordinate with. That's the one thing that you really have to watch out for.
All right, that's a great advice, everybody in the community. All right, make sure, like maybe you've spent the whole day working on that planner, and that's just 10% of what you're supposed to do for the rest of the day or the week, right? So find
Yep.
a little bit of, again, find a halfway point in terms of the many, if you still want to keep that many planners. I've given up on that. Okay, now it's really, I just love having them around, but I know that in terms of actual productivity, I know it doesn't work for me. Again, that's for me, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and Andy's saying this is a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, Andy. I
Thanks,
think
Andy.
Andy needs to
Pleasure
go.
doing it.
All right. Oh, had no idea that planes had to continuously recalibrate. Yes, anak. All right. Thanks, Colter. All right. So before we end, all right, I know you guys are probably interested to know where to find Colter and how to know more about what he actually does on his socials and all. Okay, first and foremost, he is on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on his YouTube channel as Colter Reed. All the links are actually in the description in the YouTube video, this one, and on my post on my Facebook page. And of course, the most important link that you need to know is his website. It's www.colterreed.com because everything is there. And so let's ask Colter. Colter, what can they find in your webpage?
So I started blogging 9 years ago, just past 9th anniversary last month. And
Okay,
what I talk about is just
congratulations.
ways to get the day-to-day out of the way so that you can stop chasing the dream and start living the dream. Just think about how often the things that you want to do most get crowded out because of all the things that other people want you to do. How do you deal with that? How do you honor those commitments? How do you contribute and make their lives better, but also still honor the things that you want to be working on? So that's what I try to help people do. Highly productive, highly efficient, highly principled.
All right. So more on productivity, how to really make things work out for you. All right. So check out Colter Reed's website. So www.colterreed.com. And also he has some freebies there, right? That you can actually
Yes. Yeah.
download.
If you sign up for our email list, I'll send you the Digital Goal Domination Guide. It is specifically tailored for using Evernote with OmniFocus, because I wrote this when I was in the purely digital phase of things. But the principles that are there will still walk you through. How do you set goals? How do you track them? How do you track the additional information to support the goal as you're working on it? How do you track your progress through it? So even if you don't use OmniFocus and Evernote specifically, there's still good stuff there.
All right. So if you guys are interested, head on over. All right, and join Coulter's email list. All right. So
Yeah.
Coulter, before we end, top of mind, at least three things or three tips, okay, to our community about planning for more productivity. If they fail to remember anything, okay, that we have talked about today, just the
Okay.
top three things.
All right. Couple things. Start your day with a running start. Okay. A lot of the productivity stuff you see will talk about start your day with taking on that big frog. What is the biggest task that you have? I don't like doing that. I like to start my day with 3 quick wins. No more than 20 minutes. I should be able to just get in, get these done, build up some momentum. Okay, the world record for a standing long jump is just over 12 feet, like 12 feet 2 3/4 inches. But a running jump, the world record for a running long jump is 29 feet 4 1/4 inches. So more than twice as far, just because you took a running start at it. There's no reason. There's nothing that says you have to start your day doing the hardest thing. Knock out a couple of quick wins, give yourself some momentum, some confidence, show yourself, yep, I can do this. The second thing, zero-based thinking. Zero-based thinking is the idea that let go of the sunken costs. And what you need, it sounds like this weird thing, but it really comes down to just 2 questions. Is this something that if I knew then what I know now, I never would have started with in the first place? And if that's true, ask yourself a second question. How fast can I stop doing it? Just let it go, Elsa. Let it go. Third thing, know what your win condition is for the day. Every day is different. There's more things you have to get done on some days. Some days are pretty lightweight. What is the one thing that you need to get to in order for you to declare victory on the day? And that's probably not going to be getting 100% of your tasks for the day done. We often bite off more than we can chew, and that's fine.
Yes.
Because sometimes things go more easily than we expect. That's great. We need to be ready for those days so that we can knock it out of the park. But most of the time, we plan more for ourselves than we can actually fit in. And so, understand that. Be adaptive, be flexible as the day progresses, but just kind of have an idea of, okay, if I can get to this point, I did it. This is success. This is what my day needed to look like.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, Colter. Like in three steps. Okay, start, zero-based thinking, and know your win conditions. There you go. Top 3 amazing tips from Colter for tonight. Okay, so final read through the chat. Okay. Oh no, Doc Dwayne is saying, managing my planner is eating up my time. Yeah, so we need to find, actually, that's one of the things, as Colter mentioned, make sure that, you're not spending too much time creating the planner itself.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's more easy it's a lot easier to course correct when it's in the planning stages than when you're underway.
There you go. And David is saying, I always think of Captain Cold in the Flash TV series, who said, make the plan, execute the plan to go off the rails, throw it away.
I love that. And that's a great
David.
attitude to have.
All right.
Make the plan, but yeah, understand it's not
Exactly.
going to go like you planned.
And thanks for sharing,
that's fine.
Colter, from Marie. Here's all right, guys. So if you are, I know most of you are not, because you know this is the first time in our community that you have met and seen Colter. So please head on to his channel. Okay, on
Yes.
YouTube, it's Colter Reed. Okay, so please check out. Okay, check it out. And Mitch is saying done subscribing. Thank you so much, Mitch.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you
hope
so
that
much.
you guys also, before we finish, the link is down in the chat. My moderator has placed it down. Okay, so please do follow Colter so that when he goes live or he has new uploaded videos on
new
productivity
content.
and others, you get to be the first ones to actually see it. And thank you, Colter, from
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Lala. Thank you for having me.
all right. Again, thank you so much, Colter, in behalf of everybody here in the chat and my community. We thank you so much for spending this very early morning time with us.
It's
And
a great start to
everybody,
my day.
thank you so much. Yes, Colter.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great start to my day. This is my win condition for the day right here.
All right. Great.
So.
Thank you. All right. With that, see you again. For those who are
All right.
up at 4 a.m. later, Philippine time, 1 p.m. PST time, we're going to do a channel takeover on Marcus's Shop's channel. All right, so it's a peer group takeover, so please join us. Otherwise, we'll see you on Tina One Kenobi's channel tomorrow morning. Yes, Friday, 8 p.m. And of course, the person in the chat, David Ryan, Spooling Around, is my guest for Saturday, 8 p.m. for Crafty Nights. And finally, Sunday, I will be going live for the second time on my Amazon Live. All right, so please take note, include those in your planning. Right, include Mommy Guiding. With that, thank you so much. Thank you, Colter.
All right.
Say bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much again for joining me and Colter tonight. Have a blessed night. Have a blessed day. Bye.